I am not typically a rambler, so
Well, we'll
I
find
am
out.
not the typical hairstylist that yaps and yaps and yaps.
Okay. So maybe that's a good place to start.
Maybe.
Megan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I am so stoked we're finally getting to do this after what I think established was probably around a year,
I think a year.
of trying to get this scheduled and trying to align calendars and everything. But we're here now.
Yes.
And we're making it happen. So is the proper like introduction or label like co-owner of Citrine Hair Skin?
We like to say co-founders.
Co-founders.
Yes.
Love that. Okay. One of the immediate things that I want to dive into with Citrine is it is the coolest looking freaking place.
Thank you so much.
It is such a cool salon. Like, that's honestly one of the things I'm most curious about right off the bat is how the aesthetic of this place come together. Because when you walk in, it's not just the normal, like, here's some mirrors and here's some nice white walls and here's a rack of some stuff over here and come over here and sit down. It's like there is a vibe to this place.
Well, thank you, because that's exactly what we were hoping to achieve. We wanted it to feel like a vibe and comfortable for everybody to come into, and you didn't feel like you walked into somebody else's space and felt like you felt immediately welcomed, warmed. Again, that's what the gemstone is named. The salon is named after a gemstone, and that is one of the big traits of Citrine is warmth, compassion, caring, just holding people in their space, and that's what we wanted. So it's kind of our Pinterest board come to life with our architect. So
Yeah.
He's a close friend of my business partner and myself, and he was able to take everything we threw into Pinterest and say, this works, this doesn't. Here's some better ideas. Let's roll.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. It feels like a Pinterest board brought to life. Like when you walk in, it does. It has that, like, it just feels like a very aesthetic place from like the moss and the plants and the signage and all this sort of stuff. So like that's one of my immediate favorite things. And I feel like even when I originally came across you guys, and I don't really know when that was. I know it was like through the podcast, just kind of, avidly following a bunch of like local businesses here in Columbus and in the area. And I do remember that was one of the immediate things that stuck with me is I was like, this is such a cool place.
Yeah, we grew up in a culture where I feel like there's a lot of salons that are very branded, but it almost feels cold. And you walk in and you don't feel comfortable. And you're like, where do I sit? How do I sit? What do I do? Do I get water? Do I not get water? Are they charging me? Are they not charging me? We just wanted to be the opposite of that. We didn't want to be like a big name brand. We wanted to be local, small, encompassing of everybody and every personality type, but we specifically didn't do like hard blacks in the salon. Salon culture typically has had black furniture because it's easy to clean. It doesn't show stains. We chose gray because it's a little bit softer, and yes, we have stains, but we work with it. Mm-hmm. We also did a concrete floor because we knew that we were going to stain the floor. We're artists. We paint, we color. It's going to get everywhere, so might as well just lean all the way into it. The other thing is the plants. They're a labor of love because they're up on a shelf that is maybe 8 feet high. So we have to get on a ladder every week to water those bad boys, but it's worth it because we didn't want to have faux plants, mm-hmm. and they require a lot of our love, and we have to talk to them and treat them kindly, but it's so important. And to see the plants like trailing down from the ceiling, I think just adds to the vibe, and it brings like a calm.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who, I think I've only been in there once or twice for a meeting, with you and I, it's a place that you want to hang out at.
Love that.
Like, I feel like if you guys did a branch of like, you know what, during slow salon hour, we're just going to start carving something out where this is also a cafe now. Come in and hang out. I feel like that would work because just walking into the place, I do absolutely feel like it has done and does serve the feeling that you guys set out to make it feel.
Yeah, and we added the gold couches. Again, citrine is a golden color, so we wanted to add something that really tied into that instead of the gray and the green of the plants, but to add this accent point. So we have 2 gold couches that sit in the middle of the salon. That's our processing area. So when our clients have color on, or if they're waiting for their haircut, they're sitting on a couch. They're not sitting in some weird chair lined up against the wall just waiting to be grabbed by a service provider. Mm-hmm. They get to sit in something comfortable that has some texture to it, and it's a whole vibe, and people really appreciate that. It makes it feel more homey and
100%.
more welcoming.
Yeah. So when did you guys launch Citrine? How long ago was that?
So we opened in June of 2019, okay. But we were supposed to open at the end of 2018, and And as all buildings happen, delays happen. So things just kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. So we were fortunate to open in June of 2019. And then, of course, the pandemic came less than a year later.
Right. Was the plan always here in Franklinton, or was that a part of the kind of moving process and stuff?
That was the plan.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
My business partner and I, we met at a salon in German Village. We worked there for years together. Then we went out on our own and worked at a salon loft in the Short North. And we loved the Short North, but we felt like it was losing that artistic community vibe that it used to have. And they just started pumping up a bunch of like tall high rises and more like chain name brand stores. So we decided Franklinton was the move. We wanted to get back into that artist community and feel like we were a part of a community and that we were actually a part of something instead of just being another rent payer in a highly dense area. Mm-hmm. All of our clients love it because it's such easy access from downtown and the highway versus like Short North where you'd have to drive in, sit on High Street forever. You don't know when you're getting into the parking garage.
Yeah, where you're parking at. Like I know those are like the cliche complaints now about Short North and stuff, and not to like crap on Short North.
No,
or anything,
I mean, as a city dweller, I park on the street at my house every day. I get the street parking, the garages, and the pay to park, but it just became more challenging to get people to want to come to that area. Whereas here in Franklinton, people want to come because it's cool. It's Franklinton Friday. It's a vibe. Everybody wants to be down here. So it just aligns more with who we are and the brand that we are.
Yeah, yeah. How has like even being here since 2019, obviously we'll talk about making it through 2020 and probably resetting at some point there. But like from a Franklinton standpoint, what has it been like to be here through the last handful of years where, you know, I only kind of joined the community and came over here in 2021. So a couple years after, but like, what do you feel like the trajectory or the growth of this place has been like, seeing it from even like a business owner standpoint and obviously just somebody who's here?
Mm-hmm. I think it's slow, but I think it's because they're trying to build the right community. Mm-hmm. I know where we are in River and Rich, they're really trying to not have any big chains or corporations overtake any of their space. So they want it to be locally owned businesses that can connect together. So the nice thing, since it's slow, is that we've been able to really connect with everybody in our area and have good working relationships and get to know everybody. You know, we're surrounded by Maker Social, we're surrounded by One Line, Yellow Brick, Franklinton Market, Roy G. Biv. I mean, those are amazing businesses to align yourself with, and we all have similar values and we care about the same things. We care about the community. So I think that is what makes it important. But the growth has been slow moving, but I think it has been in Franklinton for a long time because it's not for everybody, and I like that they don't try to force it and make it for everybody.
Yeah, it feels intentional.
Definitely.
It definitely feels like hey, it's like it is growing, but it still is slow and intentional where it's not just. And I do like that. You know, I feel like anytime any of maybe what I'll call like overdevelopment has like creeped its way in around here, mm-hmm. there is kind of an open pushback where people are like, no, that's not what this place is for.
Right.
Yes, it's cool to build new things and bring new people in and all that sort of stuff, but we still need to do it with the authenticity that this community in this area feels.
Absolutely, because I think it would be a total disconnect to just pop in somebody that just wants to pay rent and have like a corporate oversee, and then we don't ever get to, like, they're not a part of Franklinton Friday, they're not a part of the community outreach, they're not a part of Scrawl, they're not a part of Franklinton Arts District. They don't really care about that kind of stuff. But then places like 400, Milo's, you know, all the other places that filter in, it all seems very, when you go to like the Franklinton Gala and you're part of the Board of Trade and you get to participate in those types of events, you realize that everybody is really aligned in their vision for what they want for this area.
Yeah.
You don't get that everywhere.
No,
because a lot of places are established. You know, German Village was established. Short North was established. Like, all these places were kind of established, whereas we get to be a part of establishing what Franklinton is, even though we're still behind, because, you know, Franklinton's been growing and doing its thing for a decade, if not more already. Right. So we just kind of slid right in, but it's because we wanted to be a part of a community like this.
Yeah. So take me back to like really getting Citrine off the ground. Mm-hmm. Like, walk me through this story. Like, how does it happen? I know you said that you guys worked together at a different salon. Mm-hmm. How do you go from like, all right, we're working in a salon, hey, we've got this idea, let's go do this on our own?
Yeah, so we had definitely talked about it in many different iterations over the years. When we were working together at the commission salon, we had talked about that idea. We decided it wasn't the time, that maybe going out on our own and having our own separate businesses was the time to do it. We both learned how to manage, control, you know, inventory, all the things on our own, and then decided, you know, we still have so many shared clients and we both really want the same thing in the long run, is to to create a space where everybody's welcome and the staff can be themselves. We don't have like, you have to wear all black dress code. We wanted it to be a free space for people to grow how they wanted to grow at the pace that they wanted to grow at. And so our visions just aligned. My business partner, her name is Lizzie, she focuses on skin, and then I focus on hair. So it was easy because we have two different departments that we could melt together under the same house. So we're able to run the team together, but then still have our niches and train our own individual like team members to be a part of the collective together.
Yeah. So how, like, walk me through the process of, I guess this is going to be a very simple question, but I know there's details of how do you start a salon? Like, are you kind of actively balancing, well, cool, I'm still doing hair at, you know, this salon over here that's kind of effectively becoming the day job while chipping away on the free time at this new place, and then we found a location and it's off and running? Or what's that like in between period, like that
it's
limbo?
Wild. It's fucking wild. So once we decided to open the salon space, we have a client of ours who is a commercial real estate agent, so that was a nice lean in. She gave us many different options, but she was like, I really think that Franklinton is for you. So we really looked into it. We found River and Rich. They have multiple units that we're ready to build out. So then we have another client who is a commercial real estate lawyer. Yeah. So she was able to take us into an LOI, which I had never heard of. All kinds of things that seemed like a lease to me, but were not actually a lease. It was just like, these are what the lease options should be. And it was like back and forth and back and forth. And then we finally were able to say, fine, we'll go into the leasing process, which I was like, this is insane. I'd only ever leased apartments. They were very easy. You show up and you give them money and they take it.
Right.
So it was a very long process. I think we started the actual process in 2016, and we had planned to open in 2018, and then it didn't happen until 19.
Wild. Okay.
So we also were under lease at our other location. So yes, we were working full time there, and then also trying to manage this build out, this process, these meetings, these conversations, the architect, the lawyer, the real estate agent. So it was a lot of things. It was a big learning curve.
Yeah.
A lot of things that we didn't know, because you don't know what you don't know.
100%.
So we didn't know a lot of it, but thankfully we had really good people to guide us along the process through our network.
Yeah. Network came in clutch in those.
Yes.
So you finally opened, you said in 2019?
Yes.
Right? So how long did you get to just have a normal business and the excitement of getting one started until the world shuts down?
Well, we were supposed to open in 2019, and then I actually found out in March of 2018. I found out in March of 2019 that I was pregnant, and then so I was also growing a human child while growing this salon. So I was terrified because I was supposed to have I had my son in November, and that holiday season is like the hairstylist's busiest time of year of your whole life, and the thought of having to be off during that time I thought was like career suicide, and opening a salon all at the same time. So fortunately, we had built 3 hairstylists into our team at that point so they could take care of my clients as best they could. So I came back from maternity leave and had about 6 weeks until the world shut down. I always say that I look back on quarantine very fondly. I got an extended maternity leave with my son that I wouldn't have gotten.
Yeah.
Because as hairstylists, typically we don't have any paid time off. We don't have paid maternity leave. So it's something that we either have to plan for ourselves financially or just kind of take the hit. So I was definitely coming back to work a lot earlier than I had wanted to, but then the pandemic gave me that extra time with him. And then we were closed for, I believe, 10 weeks. So we were terrified and wondering if we were ever going to be able to stay afloat, because obviously if we aren't performing services, we don't have income coming in, you can't pay your bills. But we were fortunate that we got some rent breaks from the landlord. We were able to defer rent until we were able to reopen. And we were able to get some grants to help us keep open. And then our clients actually bought a bunch of gift cards to help us stay afloat during that time.
Incredible.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So how's it feel to then get back in there after a handful of weeks, after getting through the like, all right, we just opened this business, we just launched it. Happy to have a little bit of like a forced vacation. I'll take it. I also fall into that category where, to be completely honest, like I don't love the chaos that was happening, but I didn't mind the break.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't. But how does it feel to then, like, do you feel like that once you guys got back in, Obviously, it probably took a little bit of time with like, okay, we can do stuff again, but with these rules and regulations for a little bit. Did it feel like you kind of got to hit the ground running then? Or was there kind of like that extra weird, I don't know, 10 months to a year that everyone was kind of like, we're doing stuff, but it's not exactly the same. And then after that, maybe it's going as normal.
Yeah.
Like,
we went hard with COVID. Like, we weren't ready to come back because we're such close proximity to people. We're breathing the same air. We can't help it. We were really nervous to come back. We didn't really know a lot at that time either. So we were just trying to wear masks. We were having our clients wear masks. We weren't even blow drying hair because we were like, are we blowing COVID around in the air? There's just so much unknown at that time. We had sanitizer everywhere. We had our doors locked. We had to let the clients in and out. We were taking temperatures, doing logs, like all the things. We were doing the most that they told us, this is what you should do. We said on it. Yep. Because we wanted to do anything we could to reopen and make money and see our clients again. They needed us. It's something that with our industry that we have the capability, we touch people and we hold people, and there's not a lot of that goes on in the world anymore. We have this energy exchange that doesn't happen a lot anymore, and so they needed us as much as we needed them and as much as we needed them financially. We were slanging at-home color kits. We were delivering products on front porches. We were doing whatever we could to stay in contact with our clients and give them what they needed. Mm-hmm. So we came back and we were scared, but we found a way to make it work for us and what worked well. And then we just kind of slowly moved through the process and started peeling back the layers as the world started peeling back their layers too.
When did that moment finally hit for you guys where you felt like you really settled into like, and maybe I'm making a little bit of an assumption here, but like hearing the story from the outside, I feel like it would take a little bit of time to really feel like I was actually fully just like in a normal stressful way of having a business. It feels like it took a little bit of time for you to probably actually settle into like, okay, now we just get to focus on running the business, giving people a good experience, not having to worry about keeping the doors open, taking temperatures, wearing masks, doing all this sort of stuff. Do you remember like that time frame? And did it feel any certain way, or am I really building this up for no reason?
No, I mean, I definitely think if we would have talked years ago, it would have had a completely different thought process. But now in retrospect, I mean, again, we went hard and our clients really appreciated that we did. And we actually gained a lot of clients during that time period, which a lot of people didn't see growth, but we did because we had so many protocols in place to keep people as safe as we possibly could. Some people probably didn't like it, and that's fine, but people really respected it, and we actually gained a lot of clientele because of it. So we had slowly started peeling back as people got vaccinated. We did we had like a vax record. Like if you showed us your vax card, you didn't have to wear a mask in the salon. You just had to flash it to us. We put a notation on you didn't have to wear a mask if you didn't want to. And then just slowly as that started happening, we just started taking it back. But one thing that I do really like is that, again, we don't tend to have a lot of paid time off in our industry, but wearing masks now is so socially acceptable that if you have the sniffles and you just don't feel great, but you're well enough to come to work, you can still come to work and wear a mask and nobody's going to look at you differently. You're just there performing your job and trying to protect other people who might be compromised. So I like that came out of it, because we'll have stylists say like, I don't know, I have the sniffles, like I don't know, I might have like a sore throat, but like I feel okay. Just wear the mask and do your clients, and they really respect that as well, that we're taking that next step to even continue to have masks. Some of our clients still come in wearing masks. Yeah. But continuing, years later, that's one of the hardest things, is trying to find the balance, because I am a service provider within my business and one of the main income in the entire salon. So I have to work to provide income for the salon, but then it's also hard to find time to manage my business and get into a business mindset and have the ability to focus on business things, because I'm always trying to take care of clients when I'm within the salon.
Do you feel like you almost had to refocus on what I would call like a balance or a harmony with all of these things? Like, because I feel like, again, when we think about like the slowdown and all this sort of stuff, I do feel like that was one of the positive impacts that everyone, if you really kind of got in tune with just being a human during that time, was there any of that for you, or was it just still like, well, I was getting a business started, so like, I don't know, I was just kind of going.
Yeah, I'm a kind of going type of person. I keep it moving. Something's happening, I'll give it space, and then I keep it moving. So I was ready to get back in there for my team because we needed to be together. We needed to grow together. I came up in the salon industry during a hardcore hustle culture. You had to work 60 hours a week. If you did, that meant you were successful. You were killing it because people needed you. And that is exhausting, obviously, to be that person and that hustle culture. But that was how it was back then. In some places it still is because there's demands to be met. But that was also something that we wanted to change within our salon space, is that you can work as much as you want to. I don't like my stylists to really work more than 4 days a week because I want them to have that work-life balance. I don't want them to work every night. I don't want them to work every weekend. I want them to work what feels comfortable for them, for their lives, and nothing more, because I know that for me it was exhausting, and it's physically demanding, mentally demanding, and you go home at the end of the day and you're completely drained. So it's nice to be able to have a camaraderie with your team and people that you really enjoy, and then being able to do the work, being proud of it, and then go home and not feeling like you're completely exhausted by it.
Yeah. So take me back to how you even get started in this industry in general. Like, is this kind of the trajectory of like, okay, from high school to college and then we go into this world, or was it something adjacent to this that led you here? Like, take me back.
Yeah. So I always liked doing hair from when I was a teenager. I do like my friends' hair and makeup for like dances and things like that. I love to put a box color on somebody's hair if they needed me to back then.
Okay.
I told my parents from a very young age, I want to go to cosmetology school. I want to do hair. And I was a good student in school, and my parents didn't have the opportunity to go to college. So they were like, you're going to college. You have to. So I was like, fine, whatever. And I pushed it to the side, and I did some college classes in high school and then a little bit of college afterwards. And I said, this is fine. I can do it, but it's not what I want to do. I don't want to work 9 to 5. I don't want to sit in an office. I want to wear what I want to wear. I want to have freedom. I want to do hair. My mom finally said, fine, just go do it. So I did, and I came home within the first month, and I was like, oh my God, so today in school we learned da-da-da-da. And she was like, you have not been like this since you were a kid, like in school. Wow, you must really love this. And I was like, I do. And I found a note from myself not that long ago that I had written when I was in cosmetology school, and I said I want to own my own salon by the time I'm 40. So it's always been a goal for me. I was telling you earlier, like, I'm not just like a typical yappy hairstylist. My parents were kind of like, well, hairstylists, like, they're just these type of people, and you're not like that. And I was like, I understand that, but there's still a space for people like me. And there are people who would like to see somebody like me that isn't, chomping gum and just yapping at you.
Yeah.
So I pushed to be able to go to cosmetology school. And then once I finished, I kind of felt like maybe I was missing a little bit of that college experience since I didn't have it. So I actually went to California and LA and went to makeup school to study like bridal makeup, special effects makeup, and like working for movies, because I thought that's what I really wanted to do.
That's awesome. Okay.
And then I got to LA and I realized that every time I had been somewhere else, they would always say, oh, that's just so Midwestern of you, whenever I'd say something. And I never understood what that meant, and because I'd never really been out of the Midwest, and I kind of thought of it as like an insult. Right. And then once I got to California and I realized, I was like, that's not an insult to me. I actually love being Midwestern, and actually Ohio ain't that bad.
Yes.
So that experience helped change my mentality on what I wanted and who I wanted to be at that time. So I came back, and then I was able to start at the salon that I first worked at in German Village, and I worked there for 8.5 years. Nice. So building a clientele, learning how to run a salon, everything that goes into it. I was really close with the owners of the salon, so I was kind of like on the ins and outs of everything that was going on because I was really interested in it, and that was always my long-term goal.
Do you remember, or maybe have since then unlocked, like, what was it about cosmetology and just this industry in general, hair, all that sort of, like, what was it that that made everything turn into, hey, I love going and learning about this. I love going to school for this. I want to do this as a career. Like, what were those initial things for you that really made it click? Well,
for me, it was that it was just not traditional. It wasn't like this typical path that you go and work. Like, my parents both worked like 9 to 5, 8 to 5. For a while, my mom worked in the evenings. My dad would work during the day. And they always just had these specific hours that they had to go do things, a specific way they had to dress, specific things they had to do at their job. And I knew that I didn't want that. It's like slightly rebellious nature. I didn't want to fall into that form. I knew that I would not be happy. I could do it, but I knew that it wouldn't fulfill me long term. So for me, being connected to people, touching people's hair, hearing their stories, relating to them, being able to cry with them when something sad happens, being able to laugh with them, being able to be a part of their wedding day, doing their hair, their makeup, like being a part of those special events. I'm getting chills talking about it. Like that fills me up, and that is what is important to me. And I think I knew that at a young age, that I wasn't going to be fulfilled doing other things, that I needed to literally be in front of a person all day, every day, and like touching them, connecting with them, and making them feel good.
Yeah. Let's talk about like that human connection a little bit, because you've mentioned it a couple times, and you mentioned earlier like being able to be with somebody and share energy with them and share that moment and all that sort of stuff. Like, this is a dumb question, but like, is it like, do you feel like you are, I don't know, like, are you more of a person who's like in tune with a lot of that more often than not? Like,
Mm-hmm.
is that kind of like your thing, I guess? Like, and I know that's such a dumb way to ask that question, but like, I almost don't know how else to ask it, because to me, I feel like that also is a very natural thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, like, yeah, isn't that just how stuff is? So I almost don't know how to ask the question, but like, do you feel like you are in tune with a lot of those things of like what it truly means to connect with somebody or share space with somebody, or again, even down to like feeling energy out of people or certain situations? Like, is that kind of a realm of the world that you tend to live in?
Definitely. I definitely try to, I pick up on people's energies, good, bad, whatever. I'm a big observer. I like watch what everybody else is doing. I watch their body language, how they feel. You can tell immediately if a client likes something or if they don't, no matter what they're saying, by how their body language is. If you're really paying attention, you can see it shift if they don't like something or they're uncomfortable with something. So I pride myself on making people feel comfortable, because again, there are no stupid questions. You can ask me a million questions and I will tell you everything I know. No consultation is too long. You can always have time and space for somebody. Energy exchange is really big in our industry, and some people, I think, pick up on it and some people don't. But like I said, I'm more of an observer. I'm not a yapper. I can like watch it all happen. If somebody isn't in the mood to talk, I'm totally fine not talking. We actually have silent services at the salon that people can select and say, I don't really want to talk outside of my consultation. I'm just not feeling it. And it's totally fine.
Yeah.
So a lot of clients come in, they work on their laptops. I'm not just trying to tell them a story just to tell them a story. If they're zoned in, I get it. Zone out. Like, I don't need to talk. I always say, like, I don't need to talk just to talk. It's fine. Like, if you want to hear what I have to say, great. If you don't, no problem.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about filling the
I don't have to spill
silence
the
or
space.
something.
No,
yeah,
I
it's
don't.
not like, oh, we don't let anything get too awkward. We got to start talking about something.
Yeah,
Like,
I would say the only hard part about that is then like my mental to-do list starts going in my head, and I'm like, well, then I should be doing this, and then like I can,
Right.
I should be like over here doing that, and then I need to order this, and don't forget to order that, and then I can't do anything about it because like my hands are in the hair.
Yes. You're like, okay, I'm here right now, but then later on we'll get to these
I'm
other
gonna try
things.
to remember
Like,
this.
Yeah. Walk me through kind of like, I guess a little bit of like the timeline of, we go to cosmetology school, we go out to California, we also come back, and you said like during that time it was like, was it kind of in your head of like, I will have my own salon one day, right? But so we also just dive into the industry, right? And so we're working at other salons. I guess how long was that? Like, how many years did you spend in the industry before it was like we said earlier, like, okay, time to make a move here?
Yeah, I think there's been many a times that it felt like there were times to make moves, but I feel like something that has always kind of held me back, like I felt like I wasn't ready, or I wasn't old enough, or I wasn't mature enough to do these things. And then I would hear about other people opening salons much younger than me, and I'm like, well, how are they ready? And it was just like my own mental hurdle that I had, that I was like, well, I'm not ready yet. I don't have enough experience. I need more of this. I need more of that. But I had written that letter to myself when I was 19 years old in cosmetology school about owning a salon. And I think it was a product, too, of having a conversation with my parents, again, about not just being like a hairstylist. Because, you know, they grew up in the 60s and 70s, and their mentality, hairstylists were people who got pregnant in high school or like couldn't do any other job. Like, you just went to do hair. And I kept telling them it is not like that, and it does not have to be like that. So I think for a while when I was saying, oh, I'm going to go to California, I might do movie stuff, I might do celebrity stuff, it kind of opened that realm of, this isn't just going, I'm not just going to work for somebody else. Like I always was going to do something for myself, separately from a traditional salon thing.
Yeah.
And then I came back and I worked at a restaurant before I was broke. So I went back to that restaurant and I took a full-time position that had me working 50 hours a week. And then on my 2 days off, I worked at the Salon in German Village. Friends of mine worked there. They got me an in. So I would go and I'd sit there for my 2 days a week, and then I would go back to my 50-hour-a-week restaurant job. And then after 6 months, I said, I don't want to do the restaurant anymore, and I need to focus. So I actually moved back in with my grandparents to save money, and I worked at the salon for probably almost a year before I moved out and had like my own place. But I worked at that salon for 8.5 years in a commission salon before I said, okay, it's time. This has run its course for now. I'm going to go not to open my own space because I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I'm old enough. And then I'm going to go to salon lofts and work my own little space by myself, and then kind of get some bearing and see if I'm ready to do the real thing. And then it was just conversation after conversation after conversation that was like, we have to do this. I wanted to build a team. I was stacked with clientele. I was working 50, 60 hours a week on my clients. I was exhausted at the end of every day. I needed help. I wanted help. I love training people. I love mentoring young stylists. So it was natural to say, we need a bigger space to have chairs to be able to have this team that we want to build, and then give them some of these clients that I just cannot physically take on anymore. So it's been like a growing team, shedding, growing team, shedding.
Yeah.
But then I still have some clients that I've had for the entire 20 years. They've been with me since literally the beginning of my career, and they're like the ride or dies. Okay. And it's like those energy exchanges that you have where it's like, I remember when they graduated college. I remember when they bought their first house. I remember when I bought my first house. I remember when they, bought their first car outright. They remember when I had my son, so we've grown up together.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Now, something you mentioned earlier about those years of working in the other salons or the salon loft, you mentioned for a while there was very much that hustle and grind culture. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like that was probably spread across many industries in like the, I don't know, mid 2010s, mm-hmm. sort of like that area where like even for me on the side of things that I do, like there was those handful of years where it was like, if you're not grinding every day, you're a failure. And Facts. It was like, you're right.
Facts.
What was that like in salon world, in the world of hair and everything? Because I know you said that you were so tired at the end of, so many of these days and all this sort of stuff. Like, so I guess in general, let's talk about the hustle and grind culture there for a little bit of like what your experience was like.
I mean, part of it felt really good because you were hustling and grinding. You were busy all the time. And again, at that time in the salon, like that was the mark of success. You had people beating down the doors to get in, and you could book clients 50 hours a week. Good on you. Keep it going. But the thing that they didn't talk about then that we talk about now is price increases. So, most corporate jobs, they get annual increase, cost of living increase, or some sort of percentage increase every year just for doing their basic job. As hairstylists, we a lot of times devalue what it is that we do, and we don't raise our prices accordingly as we should. So I had all those years of all the hustle and people banging down the doors and just kept everything the same. And then you just get more people, right? You keep getting more people. And then that's when I felt the burnout setting on. And so over time, you're just going to get burnout. And that isn't that's not sustainable for really anybody, but especially in our industry where you stand and you're standing all day. I mean, it's very taxing on your body. So you literally cannot work 60-hour weeks for a long period of time. So when I went to the salon loft and I was by myself and I didn't have a team to help support me, it was exhausting. At the end of the day, it's like the kiss of death we always say as hairstylists: don't sit down before you clean, because as soon as you sit down, you're never going to clean. It seems impossible. So I would sit down at the end of the day and I'd have color bowls stacked everywhere, laundry to fold, laundry in the back. I'd have crap everywhere, and I would just feel defeated by the end of the day. And then you wake up and rinse and repeat and do it again, and you have no, we didn't have lunch breaks, we didn't have downtime. We'd have to go stand in the back and eat by the washer and dryer. Like there wasn't a healthy culture. We're living on caffeine, back in the day, living on cigarettes, So it was just whatever you had to do to keep pushing forward and you just always wanted more clients, because more clients, more money, more, you want all the money. And eventually you'll break, either physically, mentally, or both. Like, that's why hairstylists, they don't usually have a very long career, because it's a lot on our bodies.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people, I mean, myself included, like, I think I'm aware enough to know that everything has their hardships, but I would guess that there's probably a lot of people that if you're not really that familiar with the life of a hairstylist, people probably aren't thinking that it's actually that difficult.
Well, and a lot of times, especially if you're like a hair cutter and you have 8 to 10 haircuts a day, I mean, you're kind of repeating the same conversation over and over and over again. And by that 8th person, you don't remember if you told them about what you did over the weekend. You might be repeating yourself. You may have not had lunch. You may have not had a break at all. So that's the hard part. And a lot of times I'll ride home with no music on because I call it my decompression time. And because, we listen to music all day, and then you hear all this white noise with the blow dryers and the people talking and all the chatter. And at the end of the day, you just kind of need to. And then I would tell my husband, I'd come home and I'd be like, please don't, I can't do anything. Like, please don't ask me to do anything for at least an hour after I come home. I just need to, and like zone out on my phone or something, like just dissociate.
100%. Yes.
So it's a lot with the energy exchange and with physicality and just kind of the mental with it as well. It can be many layers, but that's also the part that's really fulfilling. So it's kind of a weird balance.
Right. Now, 2-part question about that time period. Was there any point in time where like that burnout of the grind was getting so heavy that like you ever contemplated like, am I starting to like not love this the way that I thought I was going to? This is like so much work. Maybe I don't want to do this, or maybe I just need a really massive break. And then part 2, were there any moments of that burnout that really stuck out to you that maybe made it click for you, where you were like, okay, I want to see this through, but I am so freaking burnout, I need to make a change?
Yeah. Anytime I think that you get to that ultimate burnout, you always end up having that client that comes in and like needs you, and you feel so important and so loved and so respected that, you give them that hug at the end of the day and you're like, oh, that's all I needed. I just needed that one person to make me know that this is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. And then to the second part, it really solidified to me that I needed to move forward with the salon. I needed to open Citrine. I needed to build a team. I needed to hire apprentices to train. The benefit to that is that they become very comfortable with my clientele. So when my clients can't see me, they feel very comfortable seeing them because we've worked together on them multiple times. So over the years, that's what's happened. As my clientele grew, some of the clients were like, well, you're less available and I need this and I need that, and you don't work on these days anymore. I'll go see them, and then they'll be able to see the team that I've built, and we can still hang out and connect and chat with each other and catch up on life while they're still seeing somebody else. And then it fills their books and takes it off of my plate.
Yeah, it's more about the community rather than the individual, I guess, win or number of like, okay, cool, I got my client, I need to keep my client. It is far more about, well, yeah, I established a relationship with this client, but also I've built this incredible community where, yeah, there's a good chance that everyone's going to fit in well with everybody else.
Absolutely. And again, because they've seen the people in the salon for so many years, so many of them have worked there for so long, they're like, oh, cool, I can't see you. I'll gladly go see them. They've been here forever. We all share the same formulas, and all the clients are like our clients. They're not my clients. Some of them will only see me, and some of them will only see some of the other stylists, but a lot of them are happy to float around. The same with the estheticians that we have. We have 2 estheticians, Lizzie and Chloe. They will gladly go get their facials or their waxings with either of them because they know that the product is very similar. We've all been trained the same way.
Right. So let's play pretend for a second. Actually, we probably won't have to pretend. I feel like there will be people that are listening to this or watching this that probably are in this scenario. So let's speak to the people in the audience that are maybe just getting started on a journey like yours, just in cosmetology school or just out of it or just becoming a hairstylist, like really getting in there. What's some of your favorite like tips, tricks, advice, everything that you've learned in your experience with the industry? What's some of your go-to stuff that you immediately share with people?
I think that it's meeting people where they are. Not all clients want the same thing from you. Listening is so important. Consultations are key in our industry. If you can't listen and kind of decode what it is the client is telling you or asking you for, then you're not going to be able to deliver. So I've had plenty of situations where people have like looked me up and down and been like, are you going to be able to like give me what I want? And then I keep asking questions and I can tell they're almost like, and then I lean in and I say, listen, I'm just asking all the questions because I want to make sure we're right on the same page. I want to make sure I know exactly what you're talking about and give them that confidence. And I always love to under promise, over deliver. So you say, oh, I think we can get to here. And then when you get to the goal, mind's blown. I think being consistent as a stylist, showing up the same way Also being there for them when they have appointments, not rescheduling, not running late a lot of the time. Clients really appreciate if you respect their time, as we appreciate when you respect ours. I think continuing education is a huge thing. So in our salon, we do a salon like retail savings account. A lot of salons will pay out like a small percentage of the retail sales that they sell to clients. We hold back a giant percentage of it for them so that they can use it on continuing education and tools to further their own career within our space. So they can pick whatever classes they want. The savings account's there. We pay for it. They go. They don't have to front anything out of their pocket. It's all things that they're working towards all day, every day, because you have to stay on top of trends. You have to stay on top of things to stay relevant in our industry, especially with like TikTok.
Yeah. Now, what about like from the entrepreneurial standpoint, you know, talking specifically to hairstylists and all that sort of stuff? What about from a business perspective? You know, if someone was coming to you and they were like, all right, Meghann, I want to start my own salon. How do I get started? What are you sharing with that person?
So the first thing that I say to them is, do you actually like doing hair? Because as a salon owner, if you're doing it right, it's going to take you away from doing hair. It has to. You have to have time to manage and run your business and be a business owner. It's a different mindset. A lot of salon people, a lot of stylists aren't necessarily business-minded people. We work, we get paid, yay. But when it comes down to all the back end stuff, like you have to want to do that, or else if you just want to do hair all day, your salon isn't going to be successful and you're going to get burnt out and you're going to close, because you have to be able to put time into the back end. And if you don't want to do that, then don't do it. If you just want to have like one team member, you can do that in a suite somewhere very small, cutesy. But if you want to grow a big team, you have to know that you're going to have to step away from doing hair, or you're going to be working all the time, which is again part of where I'm at in my business, is that I'm still working with clients a lot and I don't always have the time to focus on the business. I do have a business partner, so that's really helpful because we can kind of bounce things off of each other when one of us is getting overwhelmed. But if you're doing it solo, a lot of salon owners that I know, they end up stop doing hair within the first year just to run their business. So will your clients accept that? Will they be happy that you're quitting and giving them to other people, or will they appreciate that? Because some people won't. They just want you to do their hair.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're like in that mix right now of like, do you feel like you're having to like reharmonize or rebalance, you know, any of these things of like, okay, here's business owner, but here's hairstylist, and here's like I'm constantly kind of balancing these things, and I don't mean any of that in a negative way.
No,
I mean just the
it's
reality of,
no, it's the truth, because it is easy to get burnt out when you're still, you know, working at a certain pace and trying to bring in a certain amount of income, but then you're also trying to manage. I have 9 hairstylists that are underneath me, and that's a lot of people to manage, and I meet with each one of them 30 minutes every month to just check in, see what's going on, make some goals, make some changes, edit things, price increases, all those things we talk about during those one-on-one meetings. It takes a lot of time off of my schedule. The big thing too is that I obviously have certain income that I need to meet as a business owner and to provide for my family, so I can't really take away from bringing in the clients and getting paid for that versus the amount of work that I'm doing on the back end. So it's that balance, like once your business starts to maybe make money, then you can start paying yourself to do these jobs. But until then, you're just doing it pro bono while you're still working and trying to bring in all the clients. Mm-hmm. So it's hard because you don't want to leave the clients either, because, you know, I've had some of these clients for 20 years and they're the ride or dies. They've been with me. They'll pay whatever I say to pay. You know, they've gone from a $90 partial highlight to a $300 partial highlight, and they're happy to pay it and be there for me, so I can't quit them. But at the same time, like, I have to do what's best. I have to keep the business afloat. Yeah,
that trust is there with clients and all that sort of stuff, but it's also kind of trusting your own gut at some point of, okay, where does my energy need to go at this point?
But it's like the clients always ultimately understand.
Yeah.
It's like we hold that for them. Like if I said, hey, I quit doing hair tomorrow because I have to focus on the business, they'd be like, good for you. I'm sad for me, but good for you. You know, like they'll be there for you. It's just, it's hard for us to like say that we want to let it go. PSA, I'm never going to stop doing hair ever. I just am saying that because I need to cut back a little bit.
That was honestly, I really was going to ask you like, hey, not to spoil anything or not to put anything out there.
No,
but like,
I'm not.
Do you feel like you would ever?
Because I'm actually sliding into a more important role. I started out cut and color queen. I could bang out some cut and colors, no problem. I switched to extensions mostly in 2018. So I've been mostly in the extension realm with a little bit of cut and color here and there, but I'm actually sliding into hair loss now, which is a whole market that just does not have representation and people that are not able to take care of them. So I'm actually sliding into a whole other group of people who need help in a completely different way. So that purpose feels bigger than what I'm doing now, and I just don't think I'd be able to quit it because the people that I'm already helping, they need me, and they need me more than a highlight and a cut need me.
Yeah. Well, you know what's cool about that, though, is like something that at least I've heard as hearing your story for the first time, like all the way through, is I do feel like there has been a very natural flow, even if it didn't feel like it in the moments, of course. It sounds like there's been a very natural flow of like evolving to the next stage, to the next chapter. And I don't know if it would be a wrong assumption to say that like that sounds like that maybe that is the next natural evolution that you're finding, where it doesn't sound like you've explained anything that was like this like forced thing. You know, like yes, we talked about the hustle and grind for a little bit of like, okay, we're all going to battle burnout if we go too hard, and there's a lot of this stuff going on. You know, we got to rein ourselves in a little bit and really figure out what's important to us energy wise. But nothing that you've shared has been like, well, I needed to do this just because. It was like, I found myself here, and then I naturally felt the calling to then go here and to do this. And I created a door for myself, found that opportunity, and made it happen.
Yep.
It sounds like this is the next natural evolution in your career.
And I think that that's one thing that always kept me interested in the industry, was that I knew that it would always be evolving and always changing, that it was never going to be the same thing every day. It was always going to be a different problem, a different solution, a different way to get there. There's multiple different avenues to get to the same solution. That's one thing that I also love about having a team, is that we can all collaborate together. You can hear 6 different ways to get to the exact same result. And it's just super fun to have that team to be able to bounce those ideas off of. And the industry drew me in because I knew that it was never going to be the same thing again and again and again. And I knew that I would always be able to learn something new, that I wasn't just going to be like tapping on a computer, doing the same thing, checking emails for the rest of my life, because I knew that that would not fulfill me, but I knew that this industry would keep changing. And there's so many different facets within the industry. Even when I went to study makeup, I don't do makeup anymore, but it was really cool to do. You know, it's like I can almost get like a little mini master's degrees in so many different little niches of hair.
100%. Collecting all the little side quests.
I love
and
a
all
collect a side quest.
Yes, 110%. And I think that, like, of course you know this, having experienced it and being an aware person, but like, there is so much value in being open to those quote unquote side quests, being open to also the change and the evolution of something, whether it's an industry, whether it's a specific skill or job that's required or whatever it may be. It's a hugely valuable thing that I think is easily overlooked in certain scenarios.
Well, and I think to be a successful leader in my salon space, I need to myself try new things. I don't like to ask them to do things that I'm not willing to do myself. And that's why I still work one evening a week. I work every other weekend. Would I love to not do that? For sure. But I ask my team to do that. And so I myself do that to show them, but I'm not above this. I'm not above cleaning the toilets. I'm not above doing any of this stuff, but I am always going to be trying to learn something new, to bring something new back, whether it be a skill, a technique, a concept, just a vibe in the salon, like just different things that make our space unique and different than just any other salon that you would go at. Because there are a lot of amazing salons here in Columbus that you could go and work at, but there's not a lot of commission salons that people really identify with, and we're one of them. So that's one of the things that's major, is that we're attracting a lot of people who want to work there. We just don't have the space for it, but that lets us know that we're doing something right.
Really business question here. Has it ever crossed your mind, or would ever be a thing to like expand and have a second location?
Well, I don't know. Yes.
Okay.
Short answer, yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it would be a second location, because we actually have the ability where we are currently. There's an empty unit next to us. So we've discussed it on and off again. We're discussing it with our CFO. We're trying to figure out if we can make something happen, but we would love to. We're hair and skin right now, and our skin estheticians are becoming so expert in what they do when it comes to facials and skincare. but we are very loud as hairstylists, and they can't get the relaxing environment that they're looking for.
Fair.
So we've discussed even moving them over to their own secluded, quiet salon space.
Nice,
and then we
yeah.
can be loud and blast the music over on our side. So it's
Right.
definitely a goal of ours to expand and create more space for more team members to work in the environment that we have.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
I'm glad I asked that.
Yeah.
then. Now, we talked about side quests, and if there's not an answer for this or something that you're like, I don't want to share that, we can just skip it. But talking about the side quest, trying new things, has there been anything that kind of clicked for you where you were like, I'm going to give that a shot, or I'm going to try that out, and it just didn't fit, where you were just like, you know what? I thought I wanted that thing, or I thought I wanted to add that into my skill repertoire here, but you know what? Nope, tried it, didn't work.
Well, I think that for me personally, I found that there were just services that just didn't fulfill me the same way that they used to fulfill me. So that's why I kind of leaned more into extension work, because you could get bigger transformations. The reality is they're higher ticket service items, so you're working smarter, not harder, which I love. But yeah, I mean, there's certain things that I just don't love to do that I don't do anymore. I feel like one thing to discuss is that our industry went really niche for a lot of people. They'd come out of school and they'd say, well, I only want to do blonding and extensions, or I only want to do this and I only want to do that. Whereas again, hustle culture, when I came out, we did everything. You said you need your eyebrows waxed during your haircut, I would do it. You need a facial, I will make it up. I will figure it out. I'll take your money. And they don't necessarily come out of school feeling the same exact way, because they've been taught that they can niche and they can make good money and they don't have to do all the things. But now I've noticed that it's kind of shifting back. We're getting more stylists who want to be well-rounded, who want to do cut and color, who want to do all the things and be versed in all of it. So it's cool to see it at this point kind of come back full circle.
Yeah, and I also think the way you explained that honestly was perfect, because I do, honestly, even kind of the thing that I was looking for out of that question was, yes, the value is in trying things and then really figuring out what truly works for you, what fulfills you the most. And yes, from a business perspective, what can work the best, but realistically, what's not going to burn you out? What's not going to be the thing that you're like, well, this took this thing I was excited to do now into a realm of it's just work. I just want to get it done.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the value of trying those things and trying the side quests and acquiring the skills to, yes, become a more well-rounded whatever you may be, but also there's a lot of value in figuring out what you don't like.
Exactly.
And you really don't know until you try. Like, as cliche as that is.
No, but it's true though, because you specifically don't want the stylist that's just phoning it in because they can. You want the stylist that's passionate about it, that cares, and is like giving you feedback and telling you what works and doesn't work. So that's the good thing about also having our collective group of stylists, is that even if people don't niche, they have things that they really like to do. So we can direct the clients towards the people who really like what they are looking for. So they're going to be happier, because they're not just getting somebody that's like, yeah, I'll just put some highlights in your head. They're like,
Yep.
no, I love this with the melt and the swoop and the this and the that. You know, they want the client that's passionate, or they want the stylist that's passionate the same way that they're passionate.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing about being a leader?
I love mentoring. I love, we get a lot of stylists right out of school. I love helping them grow and develop and find out who they want to be within the industry and who their clientele is, and giving them the space to be who they are. They don't have to look a certain way. They don't have to dress a certain way. They all kind of feel the same way that we feel in our business. We have a sign out front that kind of lets people know what they're walking into. A lot of business owners wouldn't do what we have chosen to do, but we decided to be loud and proud with the things that we believe, because a lot of people are very quiet. So our sign says things like, do not enter if you're like homophobic, racist. I think it says something about fuck ICE right now. So the stylists that are coming to us are obviously looking for a safe environment to be able to talk about those things. Typically, you know, like religion and politics are things that you don't talk about, and specifically as hairstylists, we're not supposed to talk about. But we wanted people to know when they walk in the door that you're probably going to hear those conversations, especially the world that we live in now. And whether you agree or don't agree, we're going to be having conversations about what's happening in the world. So the stylists that are seeking us out are looking for that safe space to be themselves and, you know, cuss every once in a while and wear whatever they want to wear and have tattoos and piercings and whatever, which a lot of places would really frown upon. Some salons make you change your name so that people can't find you.
That's a thing?
Yeah, that's a thing in like the bigger salons. If they have somebody in their system that has the same name as you, which, you know, I grew up in the 80s, which is like the Laurens and the Jennifers and the Jessicas and the Meghanns. So if there's somebody else in their entire group, they ask you to change your name. They'll give you a preferred name list that you can choose from. And that's who you go by at work.
Really?
So a friend of mine would say, like, she'd see people outside and they'd be like, Macy. And her name was Erica. And she was like, oh, hey. Like, she didn't identify as Macy because that's not who she is.
And I don't know, what was the reason for that?
Well, they just don't want you to be confused with other people because, heaven forbid, people have the same name. But then I think it was also so that they had contracts. So when you left, you couldn't contact any of your clients for a year after you worked for them.
Gotcha.
So I think it was a way that the people couldn't find you because obviously if they look up Macy on the internet, you're not her.
Interesting.
So we wanted to really let people be authentically themselves.
Yeah, of course.
So like if you don't put on like a full face of makeup every day and wear like a dress, then that's totally fine. We don't do that.
Are there any of those, like, I'll just say, like, kind of weird rules maybe from the past or the history of hairstyling or anything adjacent to that? Like, is there stuff that still sticks around like that? Like weird rules of like no tattoos, no piercings, change your name? Like,
I don't know about the tattoos and piercings because I don't know if they can really find anybody nowadays that doesn't have at least something.
Right.
But definitely like the no talking about religion, politics, keeping it very like kind of just service provider, client facing, very transactional. They don't really like want you to melt into their world or you be a part of it because you're just the person. They want you to come to the brand.
Yeah.
That's just the person that gives you what you need. They don't care that you come there for the person.
Right.
Whereas people that come to Citrine are usually coming there because they have a person at Citrine.
Yeah.
They come to Citrine, but once they find the person, that's their person.
Right.
And that's great. Like, that's what we love.
Yeah. Something, you mentioned this like way earlier, and it was like very much just a throwaway thing, but I am curious. You mentioned like TikTok, so social media. I want to talk about that for a second. One, I feel like from an outside perspective, you guys have fun with social media, and it's something that you enjoy that is an extension of the brand. What has your relationship been like with an ever-evolving and ever-changing set of platforms that is social media in terms of promoting yourself or running your business in general? Has it been like a bit of a battle? Has it been you know what, I care about it as much as I need to care about it, so I just have fun in whatever way? And I ask this question because I, in very true millennial fashion, have went from someone who like really enjoyed social media and honestly has used it to do a lot of brand building and brand identity and all this sort of stuff that I'm always going to do. But I'm burnt out. I'm over it. I'm tired of it. Like I kind of just don't care anymore, even though I'm going to use it. What's your I guess relationship been with social media and growing Citrine?
Love, hate. I mean, I think when you're in it, you're in it. When you're out, you're out. You know, it's hard with like the trending audios and then like to do this and then like the edits and the this and the that. I'm an Instagram girly because I'm a millennial. I have TikTok. I look at it, but I'm not Gen Z. So I understand it's a completely different algorithm. I am not in the space to be getting my head ripped apart in like the comments. Like people come at you, especially hard on TikTok. Like I might be sensitive when it comes to that. When I see other people get torn apart, I'm like, I don't want that.
Yeah, of course.
I don't want that. I've had one troll one time and it was very surprising. It worked out for me because people came into my defense because it was so stupid. But so we post a little bit on both. Mostly we're heavy Instagram, but there are certain things that we have started putting out content wise that I feel like can go on TikTok as well to draw in a different demographic of person. We've recently have somebody that just started creating content for us. Nice. So she's become a client and then she also does marketing. So she started creating a little bit of content, which is very helpful because my brain, as much as I want to be a marketing brain, it's not. And again, because I'm so in it, it's hard for me. I also understand that the voice that is Citrine is not my voice. I can come up with the ideas, but it doesn't, how I say it and the way that I type it and the emojis that I use are not very, very millennial.
Yeah,
and I don't think that Citrine is a millennial girl. She's a Gen Z girly. So I do kind of push that off to more of our Gen Z. We have our front desk coordinator right now. She's stepping into that role a little bit more too. so that it can be more of her voice versus my voice.
Yeah.
So I'm still coming up with a lot of the ideas, but it's the execution, finding time to execute it, and then execute it the way that we want to. And then the editing takes forever. And then what do you even say in a caption?
Exactly.
Sometimes
Yes.
I'm like, don't even put a caption on it, just put it out there. We just need to put something out there.
Yep. That's the thing that, everybody is like aware of about social media, but don't really think about when it comes to running a business or promoting a brand or anything, even promoting your art on social. It's like, it's easy to get burnt out now because you do have to do an entire marketing team's job to operate social media.
And I don't have any marketing training.
Right.
We didn't get that in school.
Well, and that's the thing. Like you see it all the time now when people are talking about, specifically like being a musician now, right? Well, you're not just a musician who needs to write good songs or record them or whatever. You now need to be your own PR team and your own marketing team. And if you're not, are you really promoting your stuff well if you're not making 19 clips every single day and blah, blah, blah. And that in itself is a whole other conversation. But there is so much that goes into balancing, hey, how are we showing up on social media? Because I guess we kind of have to somewhat. But being able to lean on a team in that sense is also incredibly valuable. And I feel like social media is so much of a conversation that especially on this show, I've been having so much lately with people where I'm just like, I am just curious of like, hey, whatever industry you're in, whatever you're doing, whatever art you perform, what's your relationship with social media? Because I am going through that weird thing where I'm like, I'm probably always going to be on it. I do love aspects of sharing and creating on it. For sure. But also, this is really annoying. If this all went away tomorrow, I'd be all right with it. Like, I'd be fine.
Yeah, it's hard for me too because I'm trying to also promote what it is that I do within the brand, but then also be the voice of the brand and keep their chairs full and their mouths fed. So it's like this, what do I do? Do I focus on like my thing or do I focus on like their thing? So typically I default to focusing on the entire salon because it's a bigger pool of people to try to filter into. Yeah. So that's hard because then it's like a shifting of the brain, obviously, because I'm marketing for an entire team versus marketing to the niche of what it is that I'm trying to do.
Right. And especially the extra value comes in too when you do begin to have more people you can even bounce those conversations off of like, all right, I'm kind of thinking this, but I can't go deep into it. Okay, cool. Let's have a quick roundtable discussion about this of like how we can divvy this up. Something I want to circle back to is the hair loss side of things. I guess kind of like, I don't necessarily like, I get it, but I don't know what that is in this industry or anything. Like, lay it out for me. What is that? What is that avenue?
Yeah, so a lot of times, I work with extensions, so we can only put extensions in certain places on the head, and you have to have a certain amount of hair to hold the weight of the extensions. A lot of people, women specifically, they experience thinning through the top of their hair, where I feel like male pattern baldness is discussed a lot, but female pattern baldness is not. And you have women who are going through menopause, perimenopause. A lot of people have gone through cancer treatments and their hair's just not going to grow back. So they get where all of this down here grows, but the top will not grow. So I've segued into using mesh integration, which is using mesh to create a stable base to hold this hair where they don't have enough hair to hold it. And then I'm able to put either a crown or a topper piece on top and or extensions on the side to give them the fullness that they're looking for.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's like magic.
How did that even come about for you? Like of being the next thing that you're like, okay, you know what? I feel like, I want to be a part of this.
So it was kind of a natural progression through the extension world. One of my mentors, she has been working in crown work for a decade, and she had come up with these new classes, and it was something that I was like, I have to know. A side quest. I love a journey. So I have to know how to do that kind of stuff. So I took a class and it just opened up a whole avenue. And I've had so many people coming in, having consultations because there's just nobody that can do this for them. There's plenty of extension artists. There are plenty of people who can cut and color hair and make it look beautiful. But if you don't have any hair, there's nothing you can do. So you can't look at an inspo photo and say, I want to look like this. It's just not real. But then we're able to create that for them.
And I think you said this earlier, is that kind of like an underserviced part of the, I guess, hair world?
Yes.
Yeah.
There are only 2 other people in Ohio that I know that are doing it.
Oh, wow.
In the whole state.
Okay.
Currently.
That's
that are doing
wild.
something similar to what we're doing.
Okay. So are you in the beginning phases of introducing that, or are you kind of in the thick of it where it's like, you know what, next week I'm launching, let's go?
No, we're launched,
Okay.
but it's something that I'm slowly building the right clientele and
Yep.
the people that I feel like I can service the best with my skill set currently. So I have 2 clients currently that I'm working with because I have to see them every 4 weeks. So it's a big maintenance service, so I have to have the time on my schedule to be able to see them and take care of them and do it right. So it's something that I can only slowly start to roll into what I'm currently doing. So I can only take so many.
Yeah. Now, I know this is a bit of a retrospective sounding question for something that is relatively new, but what even were those moments like, even with these 2 current clients that you're building this new avenue with? What was the feeling like for you to be able to sit and be like, hey, let me help you out with this. Let's do this.
Yeah, so they had been following for a while and they knew this was a journey that I was headed on and they were waiting for me to offer it. So they were chomping at the bit. So I brought them in and we discussed all the options. We went through all the placements and all the things. And then at their appointments, I'm sweating bullets because, of course, I can like stitch some hair extensions with my eyes closed and no brainer. But this is like a totally different mind shift. It took a minute to even wrap my brain around where to start. And I had to have notes so that I could remember every single step of the way because it's just something completely different. They are so grateful and appreciative at the end of the service. And to watch them go from just a normal feeling to like, yeah, I'm going out to dinner tonight.
Yep.
They haven't felt like that in 20, 30 years maybe. So to be able, like, I'm sweating the whole time I'm doing it and I'm like, this sucks, you're doing bad, like this is not good, you're not doing a good job, try harder. And then as soon as I'm done, they're like, and then it makes it all the sweat is totally worth it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, this is why, this like reinvigorates why it is that I'm doing what I'm doing to be able to provide services to people who nobody else can do this for them.
I feel like this is adjacent to those sort of moments of the power is in less of, oh, look, this hair looks nice, and more so, this is how this hair makes this person feel.
Yes.
So my adjacent question to that is, and maybe this is somewhat of the answer, what do you feel like are misconceptions that people might have about this industry in general? Like if they were generalizing it.
I think the biggest is that it's a hobby.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that people just do it for fun. We've had people even comment like, oh, well, you just work for lunch money, right? Like, we're like,
Someone's commented that?
yeah.
What a
We're like,
weird thing to...
we don't. So I think that was, again, kind of where my parents were coming from, like the respect of a career. They were like, you could do something completely different that's very respectable. But I think it's just a respect thing. When I worked at the loft, people would be like, oh, I just thought you'd be here waiting for me. And I was like, no, I do appointments and I'm only here when people are paying me to be here.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Do you just think I'm standing here waiting? And people would text and say, hey, I know it's Thursday night, but don't you have an appointment on Saturday for a highlight at noon? And I'm like, in like 2 days? No, babe. 6 weeks booked out. Like 8 weeks booked out. Thank you, but no thank you. So I just think that people kind of diminish what it is that we do. Like it's an afterthought. A lot of stylists go to college and get a degree and then go work a job and say, nah, and then go to cosmetology school. So it's not that it's a group of uneducated people that are just choosing something just for fun. But it's because we all chose to do something different that isn't the norm, that fulfills us in a different way, that lets us connect with people and not just sit behind a computer. So I think the biggest misconception is just that we are like hobby hairstylists and not like a legit career.
If I were to ask you, what is your why? What's your answer?
My why is making people feel good. That ultimately is what fills me up at the end of the day. When people are happy with what I've done, we can connect, we can tell stories, we can share experiences, and just that connection. Because again, we don't have that a lot in today's society. I feel like everybody's become very self-centered, and we feel like we know people based on what we see on our phones, but we don't actually know because we just see the highlight reel. But I get to know the real people. I get to know when they're sad. I get to know what makes them happy. I get to know where they've been from their mouths and not just through my phone. So for me, it's that connection. It's that making people happy, making people feel cared about, heard, seen, respected.
Let's speak to maybe some moms in the audience right now who either want to maybe get into an industry or really want to lean into that entrepreneurship side of things and start a business. Lay it out for me, the feeling of balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship.
For me, I feel like it's been, I mean, obviously there are hard times and it's really stressful, but I feel like because I'm able to control my work schedule for the most part, I've had a really good balance. So I'm typically in the salon 3 to 4 days a week, and then I'm out of the salon the other 3 to 4 days a week. So when my son was growing up, before he was in school, we had every Monday and Thursday together, and then weekends as well. So I still felt like I got that good balance of adult time, brain power, business, growing, mentorship, and then being able to go home and like turn on mom mode and be able to like separate the two. It's a little bit harder now that he's in school, but I feel like for me, it's been natural and kind of easy. Of course, I would love to say that I would love to stay home with him all day, every day, but I don't think that would make me a good mom, because I'd be exhausted by just the momming of it all, and the constant, the needing, the nagging, the do this, do that, the cleaning up, the constant at home things. I can step away from the home. I can step away from being a mom. I can be a business owner. I can be Megann. I can be the mentor. I can be the leader, everything that fulfilled me before. And then I can still also shift it into a different thing when I step away from it.
Yeah.
So it's the balance for me, because I think if I was working those 60 hours a week, I wouldn't feel that way. But now I'm able to say, I don't have to do that right now in my life. I need space to be able to be with my family, and that's what's important to me, and it makes sense.
Would there be any big pieces of like intentional go-to advice that you would share with somebody if somebody was we'll just say a parent who was like, I want to start this entrepreneurship journey, or I really want to double down on it? How do I balance that in parenthood? What's some of your go-to? Yeah,
I would say take everything day to day. Every day is different. Every day is different in entrepreneurial life. Everything's different in a parent life, day to day. Everything is completely different. I think picking a big picture and then chunking it off into bite-sized pieces so that you can get things accomplished. I live and die by my to-do list, and it's always growing and changing, and I love to see it go down, but then it's always going back up. But I think that just having it written out so you can see it and then bite off the pieces that you can when you can. Sometimes it's after the kids go to bed. Sometimes it's in the morning. Sometimes it's when they're napping. Sometimes you're napping when they're napping. You just have to do, I always say, like, do what your body tells you need to do. If you're ready to work, in human design, I'm a manifesting generator. I don't know if you know about human design. It's kind of like astrology, but like next level.
Okay.
It's really cool. But so as a manifesting generator, when I get really passionate about something, I can have infinite energy to get it done. So there have been times where I can just like focus on something for 4 hours and like bust it out. And there are other times where I just do not have the energy to do it. And I take those ebbs and flows. If my body says not today, not today. But if my body says cool, let's rock for 4 hours, we rock for 4 hours. So I just like ride it when I can and then pull back when I can.
Yeah. I feel like I need a whole probably off the podcast conversation about.
I have somebody for you.
That realm. Okay, perfect. Because I want to know more about that.
Yes.
Okay. We started this conversation with the like, oh, well, I'm not really a yapper, so like, and also that kind of leading into some of the parental like, oh, well, you don't really want to be a hairstylist, and some of the cliches or stuff that come along with that. Obviously, you're here and you're doing it. Mm-hmm. Along that journey of starting is like, well, maybe do I not talk enough to do this, but I want to have intentional conversations and intentional connections with these people while doing it. You've obviously learned and uncovered so much. Along that entire journey, what's your favorite thing that you've learned about yourself?
That I can have intentional conversations, and that I don't just have to fill space with stories and talking about things that people don't really care about. Again, I like to read energy. I watch people. I always say, like, we're used to staring at ourselves in the mirror, but clients are not. So you can see when clients some clients look at themselves the whole time while they're getting their hair done, and other people don't. And you can tell that exchange of energy between themselves, and it's just, I don't have to if they don't want me to fill the space, I don't have to fill the space. I can hold space for them where they are. I can put my hands on their shoulders and we can be quiet together, or we can yap it all out and we can complain about whatever we want to complain about. It's a safe space.
Yeah.
I just like being that for people. And again, like a constant, like I'm always there. I very rarely cancel appointments. I'm very rarely running behind. I'm consistent for them. They're consistent for me. They know that I'm going to show up the same way for them that they show up for me. They can give me everything or they can give me nothing. It's all good.
I love that. Meghann, unless there's anything major that we haven't covered, I have one final question for you. Are there any big parts of the story or anything where you're like, oh, dude, I cannot walk out of this studio without sharing this thing?
No, I don't think so.
Well, then I got one final question for you, and this will be a podcast.
Okay. I
end all these episodes with the exact same question. So right now, I want you to pretend that somehow we're throwing logic out the window. Everybody everywhere is listening to you speak. You've got a live mic attached to everyone. You get this one big moment to share and leave everyone with one thing. What are you telling them and what do you want them to hear the most?
I would say, I think, well, a couple things. Be kind. I think that is something that our culture and our society really needs right now, is for everybody to be kind and hold space for each other. It goes a long way. I think that some people don't value that, but I think it's so important. That's something that has built my entire business over the past 20 years, is holding space for people and meeting people where they are. You're not always right. They're not always right. You're not always wrong. And everything's okay. And then just to all people in the world, don't ride in the left-hand lane if you're not passing somebody. And can't we merge better in Ohio? Those are just random. Those are just.
I love those last two. You're not the first person who has dropped some traffic logic.
Listen, people have been slamming on their brakes on the highway,
yes.
And that is not okay.
It's insane. It's
Stop
either
running
that
into buildings
or driving into buildings.
Stop.
I was going to say it's
stop
either that.
looking at your phone. I don't know how we all have GPS on our phones and we don't know where we're going.
Insane. The amount of, hey, listeners and viewers, this podcast takes place in Ohio. You got that. People are running into buildings left and
80
right.
already this year.
Yes.
Like 80.
It's like a daily, if at least weekly occurrence. It is insane. Meghann, this was so much fun.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much.
I'm happy that we finally got to make this happen after a year of trying to plan it.
It was well worth the wait.
Yes. I'm so stoked that you were down to do it. Happy that we had this conversation. Before we officially say goodbye, we got to tell the people where they can go check out Citrine. Where do you want them to go, whether it's social, website, whatever it may be?
All of it. Instagram, Citrine Hair Skin, or our website, citrinehairnskin.com. You can text us, 614-929-5343. You'll get a direct human being that can help you schedule whatever you want to schedule. We're on TikTok barely, but we're trying. Find us.
Beautiful. Meghann, we made a podcast. We finally did it. We did it. That is a